In the small, tight-knit community of Pineville, there was one woman whose longing for a child had consumed her every thought. Her name was Emma. For years, she had prayed for a child to call her own, a miracle that seemed so far out of reach. Emma had tried everything. She visited doctors, healers, and even turned to the local church for help. But the years passed, and no child came. The whispers around town grew louder, the sympathetic glances more frequent. Yet Emma's hope remained unshaken, even as the pain of her empty womb grew heavier with each passing day. No one knew the lengths she was willing to go to, no one knew the darkness that quietly took root in her heart. What no one could have predicted was that, on a cool autumn night, Emma would make a choice that would haunt her forever. She didn't just dream of motherhood, she decided to take it. And when she did, it set off a chain of events that no one could have anticipated. What would drive a woman to such extremes? What was she willing to sacrifice to finally feel the love of a child in her arms? And more importantly, who would pay the price for her decision? Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Who was Emma, the childless woman who stole the baby from the shrine?
They're coming for
and
us.
What would drive her
We
to
must
risk
hide.
everything? A woman who had once been filled with nothing but hope and faith, how did she fall so far into desperation? What had started as a prayer for a miracle, a quiet wish in the corners of her heart, soon turned into a crime that shocked the entire town. Her act of desperation, once hidden in the shadows, would soon cast a dark cloud over Pineville. The question remains, what drove her to steal a child from a place that was supposed to protect life? Was it the gods she turned to in her hours of despair, or was there something more? Could her decision be traced to a force far beyond what any of them could comprehend? In a town that had placed its trust in faith, was this a cry for help, or was it something darker? Who was truly responsible for the events that followed in the dead of night? For Emma, the line between right and wrong had blurred beyond recognition, and the cost would be greater than she could ever have imagined. Who stole the baby? What drove Emma to this extreme measure? How did she escape, and what was her true motive? Her name was Adis. To those who knew her, she was a woman of kindness and grace. She was the one who always helped the elderly cross the street, the one who comforted children when they cried, the one who always had a warm meal ready for anyone who knocked on her door. Yet, despite all the love she gave to the world, there was a quiet pain that weighed heavily on her heart. Adis had been married for years, but the one thing she desired most, motherhood, remained out of her reach. In a community where being a mother was seen as the highest honor, Adis' childlessness became a source of both personal grief and public shame. The whispers in the village were loud, carried on the wind like rumors that grew with each passing day. No one ever dared to speak openly about it, but the burden was suffocating. Every day, Adis felt the sting of her empty womb, a reminder of the one thing she couldn't give her husband, the one thing that would make her whole. She turned to the shrine, hoping the gods would hear her desperate prayers. She sought out healers, traditional remedies, anything that might help her bear a child. She gave offerings, she fasted, and she hoped. But still, nothing. No miracle. No child. Yet, the pain never faded. In the depths of her heart, Adis was running out of options. What could she do when it seemed as if the world had turned its back on her? Despite everything, Adis was about to take a step that would change everything. A decision that would haunt her forever. On a stormy night, when the skies rumbled and the wind howled through the trees, Adis' decision was made. She had spent countless nights praying, hoping for a miracle, but on this night, the weight of her longing became too much to bear. She could no longer live with the emptiness inside her. In the darkness of the storm, Adis made a choice that would change everything, and not just for her, but for the entire village. Dressed in dark clothes, she moved silently through the shadows, her footsteps barely audible over the storm. The shrine loomed ahead, a place where life was meant to be protected. But Addis didn't come to pray this time. She came to take. As she stepped inside, the soft glow of the shrine's sacred light illuminated a small baby, wrapped tightly in cloth. The sight of the child, so innocent and pure, seemed to call out to her. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, the only sound in the stillness of the night. Slowly, she stepped forward, her trembling hands reaching for the baby. In that moment, all her years of pain, of yearning for a child, collided with the reality of what she was about to do. Was it premeditated, the culmination of years of desperation? Or was it an impulsive act, born from a heart so broken that it saw no other way?
You are so loved,
Could the gods
one.
have whispered in her ear, urging her to take the child? Or was it something darker, a force she couldn't control? Addis' heart raced, her breath shallow, as she clutched the baby close. And just like that, the baby was gone. The next morning, the village of Panville awoke to a shocking discovery: the baby was gone. The peaceful, close-knit community was suddenly thrown into chaos. The shrine, which had always been a place of sanctuary, now felt like a crime scene. The crib where the child once lay was empty, and the villagers gathered in a frenzy, their murmurs filled with disbelief and fear. No one could fathom how something so unimaginable could happen in a place they trusted. The shockwaves of the crime spread quickly, and soon, whispers turned into loud accusations. Who could have done such a thing? Could it have been someone from the village, or was it an outsider who slipped in under the cover of darkness? But no one could have predicted how deep the investigation would go, or how close Addis would come to being caught.
Us. We must hide.
The police arrived, their faces grim as they began questioning the villagers. They spoke with the shrine's caretakers, with the locals who had been there just hours before. There were rumors, of course, whispers of strangers seen entering the shrine at night, of unusual activity, but nothing solid. As the investigation continued, the trail seemed to grow colder, the leads turning to dust. Yet, the more the police dug, the more questions arose. The shrine's guardians were silent, their secrets locked away, and no one seemed to know anything. But there were subtle hints, pieces of the puzzle that didn't quite fit. A strange pattern began to emerge, one that pointed back to someone everyone thought they knew.
Elder. I have news
Addis.
about the investigation.
She had been seen at the shrine multiple times in the weeks leading up to the disappearance, her visits becoming more frequent, her prayers more desperate. And with each passing day, the suspicion around her grew. Was Addis involved? Or was this a tragic coincidence? The investigation was at a standstill, but Detective Miller wasn't ready to give up. He began to search for clues in the darkest corners of the village, uncovering strange facts about Addis' past that no one had ever known. The deeper he went, the more troubling the picture became. But the truth is stranger than fiction. The reality of what happened that night, of what led Addis to steal the baby, is far more complicated than anyone could have ever imagined. Addis didn't steal the baby for the reasons anyone thought. What drove her to such desperate measures wasn't simply a yearning for motherhood, it was a decision rooted in a past so buried, so hidden, that no one could have predicted it. The true story was buried deep in her history, and as the investigation continued, Addis' darkest secret would come to light.
Yes, sir. Some of these carvings look
The
significant.
village,
Back then,
once filled
we need
with
to
pity
verify
and
their origin.
sympathy for her,
Understood.
would
What
now
about her?
see her in
Just
an
observe for now.
entirely different light. The question remained, what if the baby wasn't even stolen? What if Addis had been chosen for something much greater, something beyond her control, and far beyond anyone's comprehension? Detective Miller, still determined to uncover the truth, dug deeper into Addis' past. What he found was nothing short of shocking. It turned out that Addis had a secret connection to a powerful family from a neighboring village, one whose influence stretched far beyond the small community of Pineville. Years ago, her family had made a forbidden pact with the gods, an agreement that tied Addis' fate to something greater than her own desires. As the detective uncovered the details of this pact, the puzzle pieces began to fit. Addis hadn't taken the baby out of greed or desperation. She had done so because she believed the child was destined for something bigger, something tied to the promise made long ago. And it was her duty, her responsibility, to ensure that the prophecy was fulfilled. The truth of that night wasn't about theft, it was about sacrifice, duty, and an ancient promise. But as Adi sat alone in her home, haunted by her decision, the burden of her choice became clear. Her hands trembled as she reflected on the gravity of what she had done. It wasn't just the baby she had taken, it was her soul that had been torn apart in the process. And with the confession she was about to make, the weight of her regrets would crush her heart forever. What do you think really happened that night? Was justice truly served, or did the village betray Adis in the end? Was she a victim of forces beyond her control, or did she make a choice that cost her everything? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you thought this story was shocking, wait until you hear what happened in our next case, one that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. If you want more real folktales and unexpected twists, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next mystery. We've got more shocking stories coming your way.